All right, guys. So 2019 hiking journal. It's 5 weeks into the year. This is where we should be. I wanted you guys to take a look at this and actually get a taste for where we should be at if you have a really good hiking journal. Remember, this hiking journal can be used at the end of the year as your final exam. If you have a 3.0 SPG grade or better, you can present this to me as your final exam grade. You'll still take the final exam, but you'll get the higher of the 2 grades. So let's take a look at one that right now would be pretty much a 4, where I need you to be if you really want to be mastering our material. So we're going to take a look at the first slide, which was our pledge. And I want you to notice something on this pledge is you're going to see the backgrounds and the words work well together. The lighter background and the darker background, you can still see very clearly the words that are on the thing. So I want you to notice that. Your slides and your background should represent and support what your slide's about. So the first thing we had this year was the spheres. The student chose to do 1 slide for each sphere. Some of you may have done 1 slide with all the spheres. So let's take a look at this one. On our atmosphere, we have all the information about the air, and in terms of the layers as well, which is, again, more than you actually needed, but hey, that's all great. Then we have the hydrosphere, which, as we did, is the water. Notice the background, our description of the water. Moving on to the layers of the atmosphere, this was the separate slide on the layers. This is where you get into more details. We did that folding activity where we did the tropostrato, mesothermo, and we took a picture of that, some of you did, and then we described the layers as well. That was what I did expect from this. All right, we'll go to the next slide now. And then I did say there was one more sphere that the water could be broken into. That was the cryosphere. So this is the cryosphere. This would be all the ice on Earth, and that's the glaciers and things like that. So moving on, we have the lithosphere. That's the rock. Also, we said it could be called the geosphere. So if you put geo here, that's fine. I'd actually put both sometimes. That would work, so you could see that later. All right, moving on to the biosphere. That was all the life. Again, look at the green. And this is a neat way to do this. You can see where we have the background. And these words would be hard to read if you put these words flat over this background. So what he did is he did a background fill, and then he put the words over that. So that's a really creative way to do that. I really like that. All right, the next slide was properties of air. This was air has mass, air takes up space, and air has pressure. We did the experiments, and I asked you to put the experiments. For example, the balloon. We weighed the balloon at empty. We weighed it full. The second one, we took the cup. We put it upside down into the container, and the tissue stayed dry. So that cup had air took up space, and air has pressure. We used the cup upside down with the card, and I walked around with it over your heads. The next slide we did was radiation, conduction, convection, types of heat transfer. With that said, he has a good description here. You have radiation, convection, conduction. Notice it's not just something copied off the internet. It's his own words. It's information he could understand, or the student can actually understand, and that's how you want to do yours. We also did this activity in class, so we took a picture of it, and we put it in here as well with a neat background showing flames, which obviously coincide with the topic. Then we did climate versus weather. If you recall, we did the blender analogy. We talked about climate being weather mixed and averaged over time. Weather was the day-to-day temperature and precipitation. So the average climate of a region is its average temperature and precipitation over many years, months. Air masses. Okay, this was the first thing with our weather unit. We talked about the air masses: continental, maritime, tropical, polar. Okay, continental, tropical, dry and warm. So we put all the air masses together. In this slide, we have all the air masses. We have exactly what they mean. Okay, and that was nicely done as well. After air masses, we went into fronts. Cold fronts and warm fronts was the first 2 that were picked for this slide. Notice cold fronts, the symbols we'll see are blue, as you can see in this picture over here. We have the blue cold front, which is the border between 2 air masses. This image he found was really cool because it actually shows the 2 air masses, and it actually shows that the front is that border. Same thing with the warm front. When you have the warm front description here, all right, and again, we can always move these around a little later. Warm front description. When you look down here, you can see, again, there's our warm front. This is a low pressure. But you see that warm air mass. So again, a great slide. He took 2 more here, did stationary fronts and occluded fronts. For our stationary front, it was when a boundary between air masses, neither air mass can win. So when you look at the description, it's really good. And when you go back and look at the picture, it's even better because it shows we have two air masses. Neither one is winning. It's kind of stuck at a stalemate. And the occluded front, which is, I call it the school is closed front, that's when the cold front overtakes a warm front. Now we're moving on to the jet streams. And this was that snake of air that goes from west to east where we live, and it kind of helps drive these weather patterns. So if we look at his description, it's really nice. And we look at the graph, it shows clearly that jet stream snaking through. And we talked in class about how that causes an eddy to form down here, which pulls that cold air down from Canada. And it also makes that warm air rise up where the circulation pulls that up as well. And that causes those air masses to mix. And there we get fronts and our weather map. High and low pressure systems, again, caused by, we have the snaking in that jet stream, causes that rotation. And we get spin-offs. High pressure systems, again, notice how we used blue here. And it's symbolized by a blue high, which is over here. And down right there. Ah, there he is. Okay, so the blue high. And then we have low pressure, which is the red, symbolized by the low. So good job on that description. I liked how that was done. And this is actually where our slides stopped. And from this point on, I actually have a rubric that I put in the Google Classroom. And I want you guys to look at that because it shows each slide and everything we're going to do for the rest of the year. And then after that is actually each description of what information is key for those slides. So thank you for watching and have a great day.